And we are live. So, hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Zip Talks. My name is Anish. I'm the outreach lead on Team Zip Ties.
My name is Shrishti, and I'm the business lead on Team Z.I.P Ties.
So today we wanted to just do a little bit of a different type of Zip Talks format, and it's going to be a little bit about a little bit of a webinar describing a little bit what student advocacy is within First and how teams can become student advocates and help grow the FIRST program and STEM initiatives around the United States. And this is a really big impact point for our team. We have been able to advocate for so many different things in our government, and we've been um, we're so amazed to have this amazing opportunity. So we wanted to share a little bit about that with you guys.
hmm So let's go. Oops. Okay, so the main thing that we're doing with this is we want to teach you guys how to do advocacy. As a team, we've done advocacy at the national capital in Washington, D.C. We've also done it at Tallahassee. And currently, we're working with Miss Wendy Austin, who is hosting the STEM Day at the Capitol. And we are going to be trying to get you all prepared so that you can advocate at the Florida capital if you are in Florida. And if not, then at your state's capital or, again, national capital. Mhm.
So you may not know this, but you guys are already advocates. Becoming an advocate is a really simple thing to do, especially in your day-to-day lives. Asking to extend your curfew, or go on a trip with friends, or maybe go and buy something, convincing your parents, talking to your teachers, convincing them to give you a better grade on an assignment. You are already advocating for things that you love to do and you have to do in your day-to-day lives. It's not just something that has to be done within the government. It can also be done within local schools. It can also be done within, your local school districts. Advocating is something that's universal throughout and allows people to persuade other people to kind of swing in their direction and help benefit a greater group of people.
Yeah, and a common theme whenever you're trying to be an advocate is you want to have a clear goal and you want to be having a convincing argument. If you go up to your parents and you're like, "Hey, can I stay up all night?" They're not going to let you do that. But if you set out clear, manageable goals, they might. If you say, "Oh, my curfew is 9:30 right now, but can we extend it to 10?" You have a much bigger chance of that happening than say 11. And then whenever you're saying it, you're also really clear. If I'm like, "Hey, can I get more curfew, please, 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 please?" It probably won't work. But if I have a strong argument, like, "Hi, can I extend my curfew as I have to complete more assignments, and uh, if I have a earlier curfew, I'm not able to um, complete everything I have, and my grades are slipping." That's gonna make your parent want to give you that curfew extension, right? That's the same thing with the government. If you have a clear goal and a clear reasoning, they're more likely to. So we can go on. We're going to go on to some key acts and bills that are in the national government. So,
So we're going to start off with the Chips and Science Act. So the Chips and Science Act was passed in 2022 to boost the U.S.'s competitiveness in the technology sector, primarily focusing on semiconductor production and STEM innovation within the United States. It was primarily created to allow the United States to have a little bit have that little edge over other countries within STEM fields and STEM technologies. And there's a couple of key components with the Chips and Science Act, such as the National Science Foundation programs are also incorporated in this as well as the support of manufacturing semiconductors in the United States. Totaling to 50 billion dollars, as well as a lot of research and innovation initiatives. So the overall, the Chips and Science Act has a lot of big benefits for the United States as far as the workforce development goes, and it provides more people with opportunities to get in jobs within the United States.
mhm. Yeah, so that's the CHIPS Act. Here's more information about that. In fiscal year 2024, there was approximately a $1 billion spent towards it. So it is a big funding point, and we're trying to get it that, oh, there is this act. Yes, it's about semiconductors, which seems really odd, but to have these personnel who make these semiconductors, you need to have them workforce ready. You need to have them go through education, and we're trying to get it that FIRST and STEM programs get that funding because we are a workforce development program. The next one is the National Defense Authorization Act. So that's a legislation for military operations. So think like Lockheed, Boeing, companies that aren't necessarily part of the government, but still are have stock go to the government, for lack of better terms. So, through the National Defense Authorization Act, one ask that we're doing is that we want to have each company who gets a grant from from the U.S. government to donate 0.1% of their grant money towards a workforce development program. See, that's not a really big number when you think of it because 0.1% um, is quite small to the company. But to us, that's huge, especially if their grant is like $1 billion. That's a lot of money. Um, yeah.
So kind of just adding on to that, the National Defense Authorization Act allows a lot of the branches of the military to receive funding and continues out their operations year to year, and it provides the military with a adequate amount of funding to continue all of their different missions. Now, one thing that the military is constantly looking for are students and people who are ready to join the military in STEM-oriented fields, such as engineering or mechanics, who are ready to work with their hands and get ready to fix these machines and fix these different innovations that are happening within the Department of Defense. So, like Shrishti mentioned, we are requesting that a portion of that money can be donated and pulled away and put into first programs, allowing first teams to grow and allowing the first program to send more students into these careers already prepared for the workforce.
Okay, and then the next one is the Elementary and Secondary Education Act. Currently, it's called the Every Student Succeeds Act since 2015, and this one has a few parts to it, and it's really funding for all the schools in the U.S. and for community centers. So, uh, yeah, Anish.
Yeah, so adding on to that, so the Every Student Succeeds Act allows Title I schools to receive grant money to continue STEM programs as well as overall educational programs at their community centers or at these schools. It allows students to participate in a lot more science and math experiments and projects and allows students the ability to learn in a professional environment and gain access to resources they may not have anywhere else.
Mhm.
Next slide. So just kind of looking at some of the total funding that these schools have, in the fiscal year 2024 appropriation, the Title IV Part A funding was roughly $1.38 billion dollars, and the Title I Part A funding was $19.11 billion dollars. Now, all this money is going to various different schools around the United States that provide that are considered Title I or Title IV schools and are allows them to grow exponentially with the resources they have that they're getting from the government, and it allows them to engage in more STEM activities. So we're asking to push the Every Student Succeeds Act to more and more schools, allowing for more and more funding to be in place at a lot of different community centers and schools to allow more students to succeed and allow more students that ability to join STEM and FIRST programs.
Okay,
So,
so oh. So how and where do you start? So when you're trying to do advocacy, the biggest thing is to I'll stay here, is to find your legislator, find your congressman, and try to form a relationship with them. You can do this in person, but if that's not possible for you, a great thing to do is hosting calls and meetings. You're likely not going to get with your congressman at first. You'll probably put with a staffer, but that's not bad. That's really good actually because they are the one that convey all the information to your congressman. So you want to have continuous meetings with them. You want to email them, call them, And you want to just have as much of a relationship as possible because once you have a relationship with them, your congressman is going to know you by name. For us, we even had a congressman, Congressman Corey Mills, who invited us to some of his events and invited us to do like the Congressional App Challenge. So we've created that relationship and he knows who our team is. And that's something that every team should try to do if possible. And this also doesn't just have to be in your national government. Like we said, we did it in our state government. And all of the bills that we just talked about are national bills to make it more inclusive for non-Florida teams. But in Florida, there's a lot of bills that are happening. We know with Mendy Austin, she has a bill that she's trying to get passed about robotics teachers getting money if their team like advances. So look into what your state has and try to focus on that as well because state governments have a lot of money that money trickles down from national to state to local. So if you target any of these areas, you're going to have a chance to get that money. And even for state and local governments, there's a much higher chance that you're going to be able to get this funding rather than national government just because of how the government works. It's very slow and it takes a really long time.
Yeah, so we actually did get a question through the YouTube live stream chat. So someone asks, how would I ask a government official to pull funding from these acts? So, this is honestly a really great question, and there's a couple of different ways you can go about it. One of the best ways that we find is to kind of follow this formula that we have here, is find a congressman who kind of aligns to these ideals, aligns to the ideals that you're in favor of, such as someone who may be pushing for STEM funding currently, or someone who's pushing for education. Find that congressman and reach out to them. Talk to them, try to set up a meeting. Maybe it's not with them, but with their staffers. Try to make that relationship with them and keeping that consistent pipeline and talking to them constantly really builds that deep connection. And then you can kind of start to talk about the ask that you want to do. In this meaning, pulling that funding from certain acts and bills that we may seem fit and trying to persuade them to do that as well and push it towards education first, STEM, and a lot of those type of ideas and initiatives.
Yeah, especially if you're able to get more teams involved. That's what we're trying to do with this webinar as well, is we're trying to get more teams involved in this because if you have a greater number, they're much more likely to respond to whatever you're trying to get. Because it always lies in number, especially in government. So if you have like a specific ask that you're trying to do, try to get your school to help you, try to get your friends, get as many people to contact your government official as possible so that you have the biggest impact. And again, look into your state, look into your local government, and see if anything can be arranged through that.
Yeah. Um, that's all
Just
we
some,
kind of have for everyone here today.
mhm.
Thank you guys so much for kind of tuning into this impromptu live stream. We're so excited to share a lot more stories coming up about how to advocate in in your local government, state and national government, and how to get involved in a much quicker way, in a much quicker, fast-paced way, and not just in the state of Florida, but also nationwide. Um, and yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning in. We can't wait to see you guys in our next Zip Talks, and we hope to see you guys later. Bye.